Hey you, yes you, like and subscribe to the video or else this doggo won't get this cookie. Thank you. Let me tell you guys a story about going back to school after the holidays end while you guys watch my trash Minecraft gameplay recorded in 20 FPS in the background. So let's get straight into it. Alright, so you know when you are midway through your school holidays and a back to school ad just pops up while you are having a good time watching YouTube or the TV. Now all of these things also happened to me, but despite all of this happening I still managed to fall asleep the day before going to school even though it took me 3 hours. So I woke up to the alarm realizing the holidays were already gone, and then I quickly got ready for school and ate Cocoa Pops for breakfast. Now because of COVID, we had to wear a mask to school, which I forgot to do, and I realized this when I was more than halfway to school, so now I had to make the important decision of going back home and getting my mask or going to school without a mask. But right at that moment I had a brilliant idea even Einstein couldn't think of, and the idea was asking the office ladies for a mask at the front office of my school since they were stacked with masks. So when I arrived at school, I immediately went to the front office to ask the office ladies for a mask and they gave me a mask. Then I went to my class. Now at my school, we have something called form at the start of the day, and form is when we do nothing and the teacher just takes the class's attendance. After that all you do is talk to your friends if you have any friends for a solid 15 minutes until form ends and the actual classes start. On a normal day, we would have actual classes, but since it was the first day back to school we had an assembly, and at assembly, the staff had to tell us about all the changes and updates at the school which no one listened to. At the assembly, I sat with my friend named Timmy, who is a chill dude who I normally hang out with. Now during the assembly, the students couldn't talk at all because the teachers were like the doll from Squid Games, and if they saw you talk they would call out your name and you would get embarrassed in front of the entire class or sometimes even the school. Now since the students couldn't talk they had two options, one was to listen to the teachers talk or the other was to get lost in your own imagination, and I bet you $1 that more than half the kids were lost in their own imagination. I was in my own imagination thinking about stuff I knew won't happen, for example what will be the best hiding spot in a school shooting or whose head the assembly's TV monitor will fall on. After thinking about these things for 2 hours straight it was finally time to go to recess. At recess, I quickly ate an apple and rushed over to the oval to play volleyball, which in my opinion is very fun. My friend named Ace also plays volleyball, and let me tell you this, he is an absolute monster at it. His spikes go super fast and he also jumps pretty high, so most people are afraid to face his spikes, and you can't blame them. So we just play volleyball at recess and also at lunch as the sun burns our eyes and faces. So when recess or lunch ends a bell rings which tells us we have to get ready for the next classes. So my next class was maths, so I got the books ready for it and went to the classroom that was listed in my timetable. When I arrived there, I was pleased to see my friend Timmy and Dace there as well, so I sat next to Timmy and Dace sat with his other friends. Now at school, the people who you sit next to or who you hang out with are almost like the four houses in Harry Potter. First you have the normal kids who you know are just normal, they just represent the average kid that goes to school. Next, you have the popular or cool kids at school who usually sit at the back of the class so the teacher can't catch them eating food or playing cool math games on their computer. Then come the lonely kids, who are also known as the quiet kids of the class since they are highly introverted and just sit at the corner of the class just minding their own business. And lastly, you have the 3 or 4 weird kids who ask for your pencil and at the end of the class return it to you with bite marks all over it, or sometimes don't even return it. Now I would say I would be in between the normal and the lonely kids since I am not very highly introverted, but I am still introverted and I still have some friends. So in maths, we didn't do too much. The teacher just told us to take down some notes she wrote and made us do questions off our maths book. Maths went pretty quickly and before we knew it, the class was over. Now before we could have lunch we had to do one more class which was called sports studies, and sports studies was basically like sports, but sometimes the teacher made you look at a presentation for 1 hour which talked about sports injuries or some other random things related to sports. So we had 2 sports studies classes, one before lunch and then one after lunch, which was the last class of the day. Now for the first lesson of sports studies, the teacher made us look at sports injuries and how to treat them as we took down some notes. The teacher then did a class vote on the sport we were going to play in the next lesson after lunch and asked the students for any sports we wanted to play, and I wanted to say volleyball but I didn't since I thought it won't get any votes. So one kid shouted out we should play basketball and everyone agreed except my friend Timmy who wanted to play ultimate frisbee, but sadly the majority won and we ended up playing basketball, and then it was lunch. For lunch, I had a sandwich and a juice box. I quickly ate my lunch and once again rushed to the oval to play volleyball. Before we knew it, lunch was over and it was time for our last class, which was still sports studies, and we met the teacher at the oval and then made our way to the basketball court. Now the teacher had made two sides for different games, the first side being for the players who were more experienced at basketball and the other side was for the players who weren't very good at basketball. My skills were like Michael Jordan's, but if he was from the dollar store, so I went to the side which had less skilled players. In the end, my team ended up losing and it was time to go home. Let's go! So I packed my school bag and walked back home only to realize that I have to go back to school tomorrow as well. Alright, this is now the end of the video. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you subscribe and like the video since it took me quite some time to make this video and it will really make my day. Thank you.